What is going on, everybody? It's VICENTE, the host of the Fight Podcast. And we're here for another beautiful day of coffee and fight news. Hope you guys are having an amazing day. Hope you had a great weekend. It was an interesting weekend in the fight game. Not only was it an interesting weekend this past weekend, there's going to be a lot of big fights coming up this upcoming weekend. Obviously, we have UFC 317. We also have the Jake Paul, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. fight as well. That's going to be really dope. And the card is actually decent, but we will talk about that at a later date. But what I want to talk about now is we have some news that came out this weekend. We've had boxing, and also we had UFC BAKU that we're going to talk about today. So do me a favor, like, share, and subscribe to this channel, and check out everything that we're doing here with the Fight Podcast. All right. Let's go ahead and jump into it. I want to kick it off. The biggest news of the weekend, of the fight weekend, no matter what combat sport you are a part of, we have to talk about the proverbial GOAT, Jon Jones. A lot of people would think Jon Jones is a GOAT. I'm not one of them, but the proverbial GOAT, Jon Jones, has officially retired, according to Dana White, the UFC president. After UFC BAKU, he was asked a poignant question. The question specifically asked him about Jon Jones and the fight concerning Tom Aspinall. Dana White goes out there and reiterates that, hey, Jon Jones called us this week and he is officially retired. So Jon Jones is retired. It was one of the very unceremoniously, very Jon Jones-esque in the way that all is coming out. And obviously we also have around the same time, it could have been a coincidence, but he also has some sort of legal issues that are coming out. Very Jon Jones of him for all this happen at one time. But it begs the question, I think a lot of individuals speaking specifically about Jon Jones, is because of this, is Jon Jones the GOAT? Is he a heavyweight GOAT? And so on and so forth. I'll be very honest with you guys. I've said it before, because of the type of career that he has had. Yes, he is a phenomenal talent. There is no knocking Jon Jones in terms of being the talent that he is. If you came up, especially watching him at 205, oh my God, I'll never forget being at Lucky Strikes in downtown Chicago, right there off of Ohio, watching him going out there and destroying Shogun Rua to become the youngest UFC champion in history. I was jumping up on the couches of that action, that event, and you can never take it away from him. Watching him do that, run through Rampage, goes out there and defeats, Rashad Evans, the way he goes out there and demolished somebody like Lyoto Machida. What he has done, the historical significance of what he has done is specifically at 205 pounds, we cannot take away. He's absolutely done an amazing job with that, and we can't knock at it. But there's been so many red flags and so much nonsense in his career that I think we would be fools not to bring it up and not to talk about it. I mean, to sit there and say this is somebody that is pissed hot for PEDs multiple times. This is somebody that has been suspended a huge swath of his career because of things that he has done. He has had issues in terms of in terms of law enforcement. He's been arrested. He has been in trouble for putting his hands on his fiance. He has been a drunk driver who's gone out there and hit a pregnant woman in the car, ended up running out of the car, going back to go ahead and get his drugs and whatever else he had and taking back off. And this most recent scandal that they have, there's some women going out there and allegedly saying that she was high on mushrooms, and when she got into a car accident, Jon Jones got out of the car and ran away. So there's that going. And let's not even talk about the accusations that he had in terms of when this fool ended up going out there and hiding under the ring in Jackson Wink when he was supposed to go out there and taking a PED test. There's been so many of these issues that have happened in Jon Jones' career that for myself to sit there and say he has been a good representation of sport, he hasn't. Let's say in terms of what he has done to 205 pounds, we have to say, he was one of the greatest ever, specifically at his weight class. But when he was challenged, when he had to move up in weight, he waited. He outweighted everybody else. He could have fought Francis Ngannou. We had the opportunity to fight Francis Ngannou, and he didn't. He chose not to. He had an opportunity to sit there and fight Tom Aspinall, the next guy up, and he chose not to. So we can sit here and say all these things about John Jones and how great he is, but there's always going to be glaring asterisks but near him and by his name, this huge asterisk that ends up saying he didn't fight the guys that we wanted him to fight. He had a stylistic advantage for the weight class he was currently in at the time in MMA, but when the game started to evolve, he did not evolve and he left. So I can't give you props for beating Stipe, when Stipe didn't fight for 3 or 4 years, and Stipe was already in his mid-40s. I can't give you props for that. I can't, so there's a lot of things that we look at with John Jones, and it's really sad when it comes down to it, because this is somebody that could have been the Muhammad Ali of our sport. This is somebody that could have been the Michael Jordan of our sport. And let's be honest, so many of us love, for all practical purposes, fuck ups. So he could have still been somebody that a lot of us really enjoyed. But unfortunately, it just kept happening. And he seems like he's a guy who could never get out of his own way. And then when it boils down to it, the way that he has handled his heavyweight career and the way that he has handled everything that's gone on, specifically with Tom Aspinall, I can't give you props for this, bro. I can't give you props. I can't sit here and pat you on the back because when it boils down to it, it's an absolute disappointment. And I think he is going to be somebody, when we think about the history of MMA, we say, yes, he was great, but did he make the game better? Nah, man, he really didn't. And it's really unfortunate that this is somebody who should have been an all-time great. And when it boils down to it, with all the asterisks that are involved, I can't sit there and say that. And again, time will tell. Do I think he'll probably fight again? Yeah, but I think that'll even diminish his legacy even more, because it's going to absolutely prove that he ducked Tom Aspinall. So it is what it is. Salute on a great career. We'll see what ends up happening there. But all right, moving right along. Also, this past weekend, we had a UFC BAKU, and that was right outside of obviously Russia, and then that space is actually run by a dictator. So we ended up essentially leasing out the UFC to a dictator for a day or two. Something that the UFC obviously seems that they're used to, but for those that happened in Baku, and the main event, the co-main event, the card itself was actually pretty fun. The main event and the co-main event is Rafael Fiziev, and if you guys haven't watched Fiziev, I'm telling you, man, he is such a joy to watch. He's one of my all-time favorites to watch. This guy is so well-rounded. He had an incredible kickboxing career, if you guys didn't know, but an incredible kickboxer. He transitioned to MMA, and he is so well-rounded. He's had incredible fights with some of the best guys in the sport, and he continues getting better. This was his first fight in 2 years, and then he goes out there and still gets a unanimous decision victory. Well-deserved. Such a great tactical fight, but salute to Rafael Fiziev. All right, and also the main event in this one, again, we're talking about stylistically guys that I love watching. We had Khalil Roundtree Jr. Khalil Roundtree, man, looks like, what Sagat from Street Fighter would look like if he was actually a pro fighter in today's game. But salute to him. He goes out there and gets the unanimous decision victory against the former champion, Jamal Hill. Jamal Hill is a guy that was a champion, ended up tearing his Achilles, came back quickly, and after that, he has just gotten put through the murderer's row. He got knocked out by Alex Fajeda. He gets finished by Jerry Prohaska, and then he goes out there to fight, Khalil Roundtree. And Khalil Roundtree was extremely patient in this matchup, was able to dictate the pace of the fight, took the fight wherever he wanted to, banged up with this vicious leg kicks, destroyed Jamal Hill's legs to the point that you can tell he could barely stand. And then on top of that was landing bombs, hurt him left and right, dropped him multiple times, ended up cruising to a victory. His gas tank looked good. And this was a great fight after his loss to Alex Fajeda to put him right back into the mix. And it's really interesting in a fight where somebody actually gets finished and stopped, where their stock goes up. So that essentially happened. His stock ended up going up after he ended up losing his fight to Alex Fajeda. And you got to love it. You got to love what he's done. Salute to Khalil Roundtree. So happy to see him in the win column. And what's going to happen next? I mean, we'll see. Does he get another title shot? I wouldn't be mad at it. Would I be mad if he gets one more and then a title shot? I wouldn't be. But let's see what happens. Khalil has officially stamped himself as one of the best guys in this division. I can't wait to see what happens moving forward. All right. And the last thing I'm going to talk about today, I have to talk about this on the boxing end, specifically talking about boxing. The IBF champion Brian Norman Jr. goes out there to defend his championship against Jin Sasaki of Japan in Tokyo, and goes out there. And this is a fight. Even myself, in the last broadcast, I said it. I thought this was going to be a fight that, you know what, with Jin Sasaki's style. He can make he power in both hands, you know, super durable, super tough. He can make it a tough fight. Boy, was I wrong. I was wrong, Brian Norman Jr. goes out there, and I'm talking about viral knockout, knocks Jin Sasaki down twice in the first round, hits him with clean shots, takes some big shots. But oh my God, if you haven't seen it already, you can go ahead and check out the Fight Podcast Instagram page, our Twitter page, our TikTok page, or even our YouTube page, and see the video. He goes out there and catches Jin Sasaki, sets him up beautifully, jab to the body, right hand to the body, and then the moment he timed him beautifully, the moment Jin Sasaki's hands drops, he throws a huge left hook, knocks him out cold. I'm talking about video game knockout. Dude falls flat, his arms hits the ground, his head dribbles off the canvas, doom, and he was out. The scary part about it, he had to get stretchered off. And here's the wild thing. Jin Sasaki actually lost 6 weeks of memory after that. He made a full recovery. I think he's remembering things now. But after the fact, he not only didn't remember the fight, he didn't even remember the training camp getting ready for that fight. Brian Norman Jr. goes out there and sparks him and essentially said, I am the king at 147. I am the welterweight king now. You can keep your Mario Barrios. You can keep, everybody else. I'm the captain now. He goes out there and does that. Salute to Brian Norman Jr. He is your champion now, and I would love to see what happens. I want to see him fight against Teofimo Lopez. I'd love to see him fight against Devin Haney. I would love any of those people fighting against Brian Norman Jr. I would love to see him fight again. He called out, this dude, I'm talking about, had bars after the fight. After the fight, I mean, this is how you do a call out also. He literally out there and said, hey, his nickname is Storm. He's like, when the storm, Brian Norman Jr. is coming, you know what you do. You grab your boots and run. Talking about Boots Ennis and moving up to 154. Yo, I love everything about that. Salute to Brian Norman Jr. On an amazing KO. In my opinion, that's knockout of the year, and we'll see what happens with that one. But all right, this weekend we have UFC 317. That's gonna be Ilia Topuria fighting Charles Oliveira. I love that matchup. I'm talking about, Ilia Topuria, man, he's going out here and he's knocking out all my legends. Max Holloway, Alexander Volkanovski, you better leave my boy BRONX, Charles Oliveira alone. But I think that's going to be a great fight. We'll break that down at our next episode. And also on that card, you have Pantoja. Pantoja's going out there and fighting Kai Kara France. That's going to be an amazing card as well. All right. With that being said, a lot of fun fights this weekend. Love you guys. Thank you guys so much for paying attention, watching the Fight Podcast. Like, share, subscribe everywhere podcasting is available. And definitely, more importantly, subscribe to our YouTube page. We're trying to we have merch, and we're trying to, continue building this up to give you guys the absolute best content we possibly can. Love y'all. Thank y'all so much for joining me on the show, and we'll talk to y'all very soon. All right, let me